Now, I know that ruined Rocket League is a bold statement, especially because of the fact that there is smurfing and toxicity and lagging and those type of things that also ruin Rocket League. But that's my exact point. Besides lagging and the lack of content-rich updates, every major problem of Rocket League stems from ranked, and almost all of these problems got much worse after the addition of Supersonic Legend back in September 2020. When it comes to competitive online games, Rocket League is one of the most unique and special games that has ever been released. Rocket League's system of control and how you get better at this game is unlike any other game that's out besides, I guess, its predecessor, which is SARP BC, which stands for whatever. And of course, this meant that back in 2015, anyone who did play SARP BC, like Kronovi, was pretty much an automatic pro and was just amazing at this game to start out. As for the literal millions of other people who load up Rocket League for the first time, you are now in a world of unknown. Your 4 years of World of Warcraft experience or 10 years of FPS shooter experience, it just gets left at the door. But why is this relevant? Well, it means that anyone who picks up this game is trash and will most likely remain trash for a long time. The problem with this is that the standard curve will look like it did in the original Season 4, which is completely lopsided. And if you look closely, 0.07% of players were in Grand Champ in doubles at the end of Season 4. And the top 1% was Diamond 1. This obviously created a bottom-heavy curve where most people were just kind of picking up the game at this point, and like I said, they suck, they're trash. Fast forward to Season 14, where this looks a lot more balanced, but there's an issue here. 1% of the people are in Grand Champ. Yep, this tiny little portion right there. And I guess this was where the complaints first started. People were upset that there were so many people in this rank. But in my opinion, I think 20 to 30,000 people in the highest rank is perfect. And even if you disagree and say that there shouldn't be that many people in the same rank as pros who are clearly not as good as pros, you are wrong. Food. Food is awesome. Unfortunately, we're normally too lazy to make our own meals, and instead we snack on stuff that doesn't really provide much nutrition. Well, thanks to today's sponsor, HelloFresh can fix this problem. HelloFresh offers 50 weekly options of meals that look like this, all sourced from US farmers, where it goes from the farm to your door in under a week, meaning anything you select will be fresh and delicious. Luckily, HelloFresh has options for any diet, so for a guy like me, I am that guy, I am gluten-free. It's just really nice to be able to scroll through and see that there are so many options for me to choose from. And because HelloFresh pre-portions ingredients for each meal, you never have to worry about wasting money on food you don't need, and you'll also save so much time by not having to go to the grocery store every night. HelloFresh keeps cooking stress-free because all of the prep work is done for you, and the step-by-step recipes are simple to follow. HelloFresh can seriously keep you on track for your health goals by supplying you with veggie and pescatarian options, as well as their fit and wholesome meals that actually taste good. To get started, use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use POG CBell May 16 for up to 16 free meals plus 3 surprise gifts across 6 HelloFresh boxes plus free shipping. Once you click, my description will live update to count up to the purchases. Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring the video. When you reach Grand Champ, before Supersonic Legend was around, winning games would move up your hidden MMR, but your external rank would obviously stay the same. This meant that the better players would go up against better players, and the low Grand Champs would go up against low Grand Champs. Every once in a while, there was a game or two where the high Grand Champs would somehow get paired up against the low Grand Champs, which some people complained about, for sure, but I honestly thought that this was a good thing. I believe it honestly made the game more fun. This meant that sometimes you'd have easy games, and sometimes you'd have kind of hard games. The cool part about this system was you can learn a lot from people who are better than you. And because you're already Grand Champ, winning or losing really didn't matter to you. So there was no pressure or stress about going up against someone who was better than you. You really did just play and have fun at that rank.
Are we having fun yet?
And you guys also need to understand that a perfectly balanced matchmaking system is too sweaty. Why do you think toxicity exists in Rocket League as it does today? You have to be playing at your absolute best in order to rank up. And this might sound logical, but if you are playing slightly worse than your best, well, you rank down. And as it currently stands in the top 1% of players in Rocket League, you have to be playing out of your mind consistently all the time to be able to rank up to Supersonic Legend. There is no tolerance for any mistakes or messing around at all. In other games, you can hide in a corner, reload your weapon, take a breath, and kind of set a new plan, even at the highest rank. In Rocket League, however, you're always in view of your opponent, and you have to be optimizing your speed and game decisions at all times. And this can wear on someone very, very fast. So unfortunately, we are seeing Grand Champ 1s and Grand Champ 2s who are smurfing because they can't push through the tiny amount of people who are gatekeeping them from getting to the top rank. And to alleviate the constant pressure and sweat required to get to the top rank, they end up creating a new account, smurfing, and alleviating all of that pressure by bullying the lower ranks. In the other scenario where Grand Champ was the top rank, those people instead would most likely not feel any pressure to rank up, and they would just enjoy their games that are equally tough as they are equally easy. For most people, including myself, because I was a Grand Champ for a while, I loved it. I thought this system was perfect in my opinion. But no, the main problem that we saw towards the end of Season 14, right before the free-to-play launch, was this small, outspoken minority who felt like they had beaten the game and had nothing left to grind for. And Psyonix decided to take the side of the 0.5% of the player base, roughly 10 to 15,000 people, over the literal tens of millions of players they were about to introduce to their game when free-to-play launched. The free-to-play rank adjustment that we saw in September 2020 with the free-to-play update destroyed ranked and has lasting effects that we're beginning to see now 2 years later, and is a reason why people are quitting. For people like Fine Dime Dizzle, his 5 years of progress was taken away in a single moment. After 5 years of Rocket League being playable to the public, only 1% of those people made it to Grand Champ. That could have taken 3 to, 5,000 hours to get there. And now with the poorly timed release of Supersonic Legend and free-to-play, those new players were faced with a practically impossible goal of ever achieving the top rank in Rocket League. I don't think any free-to-play player has made it to Supersonic Legend after 1.5 years of playing. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there isn't anyone. This obviously may seem like a good thing because Rocket League is very difficult and takes a lot of time to get good at the game, but put yourself in the shoes of those free-to-play players or anyone new to the game, really. You download the game, you spend 1.5 years on it, and you're diamond. And if Grand Champ was still the highest rank, all that player would need to do is make it through Champ, and then they would achieve their title. And now Grand Champ is hardly an achievement at all for people who want to be the best at the game, and for all but 1,500 people, it's frustrating everyone. The only people happy with Supersonic Legend are the ones who have made it to Supersonic Legend. Even a Grand Champ 2 or 3 is probably pissed off right now trying to play ranked and getting a teammate that missed the ball once. And on top of that, when they released Supersonic Legend, they did a rank squish where everyone who was Grand Champ is now pushed down to low champ, and now those low champs have no chance of ever getting to Grand Champ, which affects the diamonds, which trickles down to plat, and so forth. It's been enough time now where you might have forgot how frustrating this was, and for the majority of people, they lost their rank pretty much overnight and spent all this time to grind it back and felt like they got worse for doing nothing. So now trying to rank up got more difficult instead of less difficult because it should have just affected the top like 20 to 30,000 people and made room for the lower ranks to move up. But instead we're stuck with just a mess of a matchmaking system, and for what? For 1,500 people in 2v2 to feel good about themselves? Was it worth it, Psyonix? Well, apparently it wasn't worth it, because if we fast forward to May 2021, I guess about a year ago from now, Psyonix decided to adjust the MMR so that it's 100 matchmaking rating easier to get into each rank. So the people who were Diamond 3 trying to grind for Champ were pretty much given Champ overnight, and that sucks. Like, even if you do want the rank, like, you would at least want to earn it to some extent. And even considering all this, people might say, well, what does it matter? Most people aren't going to make it to the top 1% anyways. So what's the point? Why was Supersonic Legend being added a big deal? Well, there's a thing here called ego. When Grand Champ was the highest rank, it can be implied that less people would have quit if the title of top rank was much closer to them, even if it technically wasn't and the challenge was still there. There is a thing called ego, and getting the top rank fulfills that ego. So when a diamond player is struggling to play and they're considering quitting, the chances of them quitting are probably much less if Grand Champ is the highest rank, because they're that much closer to getting the top rank. So why not have the top rank be the same as pros so people can feel good about themselves? This might sound outrageous, and I mean, it does for me a little bit, because, you know, I pride myself on the journey and the process and working very hard to get something that other people can't. But come on, you know, most people are not like that. They just want to get the glory of the title. That's all they care about, so they can feel good about themselves and tell their friends. So ego is the first thing that got shattered when Supersonic Legend was created. And for a game like Rocket League, where the ranked games are really all you can do in the game, there's not really much else to do, wouldn't it be smart from Psyonix to cater to people's egos a little bit so that they can continue to play and have fun? We have to remember that everyone who picks up this game starts at the very bottom. They are bronze, and there's hardly no way around that. So the journey begins so much farther back than in any other game, and with the end goal being so far out of sight, people lose motivation. Again, in other games, you can be placed in the middle of the pack if you know how to move your mouse or your controller well enough, like you did in other games. And so the question becomes this: do you want to motivate the top 1% of people or the rest of the 99% of people? The mistake is obvious, but to add insult to injury, the 1,500 people or so that are in Supersonic Legend, I don't think they even care about their rank. They would rather push for top 100 on the leaderboards or play 6-mans or, try to get into RLCS or something. Ranked is not the be-all end-all for the people who are this good at Rocket League, and catering a system to them has officially backfired. And speaking of titles, Supersonic Legend is a terrible name for the top rank. It may be kind of ridiculous to say that Supersonic Legend is bad simply because of the name of said rank, but it does add to this argument. Grand Champ perfectly followed Champ and sounded like the best rank in the game. Supersonic Legend came out of left field. People were kind of confused about it when it first got released, and honestly, I still think people aren't too thrilled with the name of it to this point 2 years later. Crazily enough, however, names and titles do have a specific emotional bond to them. If I say CEO, that means something to you. It stands for Chief Executive Officer, the best position in most businesses. But what if a new title came around that was called MEA that is now set to a higher position than CEO? Oh, and what if MEA stood for Master Executive Associate? That's a terrible name, and it would kind of feel bad. Now, of course, it is just a title, but if someone was working to be CEO for 5 years and then all of a sudden there's a new position that's better than CEO, it's gonna feel bad. And I guess another kind of small reason why Supersonic Legend being added to the game ruined things was the season rewards. With the logic of having Grand Champ be the top rank, you could technically get the same rewards as a pro player. Obviously, that's cool in itself. Currently, only a few thousand people get SSL titles from the non-extra mode ranked playlist, and anyone below Supersonic Legend doesn't really have a reason to go for season rewards because it's not the best one out there anyways. And since major Rocket League updates consist of like a new car or a new map, it's an extra slap in the face for the thing you were working for months in rank to get the season rewards. Ends up kind of being like useless if you're comparing it to the best, which 99.7% of people are going to have that feeling. So now there are 86,000 players in Grand Champ in this season, Season 6. So if Grand Champ was still the top rank and Supersonic Legend never got created, we can assume that there would at least be 86,000 people in Grand Champ. This would roughly be 2.5% of the player base, which is a problem. But I still don't think the solution would be to add in a whole new rank. Perhaps, and this has been suggested by a lot of people, and on my Twitter where I posted this issue, there could have been a top 500 rank for each region that could have been called something like Supersonic Legend, and that would, take out thousands of the best players of Grand Champ and place them in their own category. The top 500 could have been paired with an extra in-game title, and I don't know, maybe like an automatic entry into a top 500 tournament every season, which I just think would be freaking awesome. Of course, this doesn't affect anyone but the top 2.5% of players, except now that diamond player who's grinding it out has only one full rank to go and can feel like they're getting somewhere and moving to the best. Now, I'm sure there are probably other solutions out there that didn't have to be Supersonic Legend, and you guys can let me know in the comments, as well as if you agreed or disagreed to anything in this video. But as it stands currently, I am officially declaring that Supersonic Legend negatively affected Rocket League, its popularity, and overall fun for people who are playing ranked, which is the only thing we can do nowadays in Rocket League, but the lack of content is a reason for another video in the future. But anyways, thanks for watching, like the video, and subscribe for more Rocket League videos, because at the end of the day, I still love this game. The frustrations we have towards it are only because we love it, and it's such a special and one-of-a-kind game that we don't want to see go anywhere. Take it easy, rant over.